What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Safe Continue podcast. My name is Tommy Shelby. With me, as always, Mr. Ryan the Rat Robinson.
Hey, what's up? Hey. It's been a while
uh,
since I've done that.
yeah, it's good.
I also don't know why that's my rat noise.
Well, it's not like that's the sound a rat makes,
Sure.
but like somebody that you would call the rat, you
Yeah,
know?
because he's like
Yeah,
real shifty and scummy. He's like,
yeah, exactly. Shanae Howard, not present. She'll be back next week, probably.
Probably.
Ryan,
What
what you
up?
been playing? What you been doing? What's going on?
All right, dude. So check it out. Check it out. All right. So I'm playing. I've been okay. So still with the Borderlands 3.
Mm-hmm.
Still having a really good time with that. I've actually finally gotten around because my thing with Borderlands is I just keep playing through with the different characters just to see which one
Sure.
I like the best. So I've finally gotten around to trying. I'm on my fourth now, playing as Zane. He's the special operative guy who can make digital clones of himself that shoot at people. Also has a drone that shoots at people. Uh,
Does he look like Billy Zane?
See, that's the problem with him is that he doesn't.
Okay. Okay.
Um, but he is unique in that he is the only playable character who can use two action skills at the same time as opposed to just the one. So
What's the drawback?
the drawback is that the second action skill occupies your grenade button,
Uh,
so you can't use grenades if you go that route.
that's pretty cool.
But he's cool because like playing as him, you can spec him in a way to where playing as him kind of feels like you're playing Quake because he has in his skill tree he has these two skills that synergize with each other. One makes his default move speed faster for every rank that you go up, and
Yeah.
the other makes it so that the faster you're moving, the more damage you're doing. So I'm just kind of just like running around like hip firing like shotguns at people and they're
Yeah.
exploding.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really neat.
Uh, can you like strafe jump and stuff?
Uh, Remind me what strafe jumping is.
Like strafe jumping is it's what it sounds like,
Oh,
right? Strafing and jumping, but like in a lot of these older games like Unreal or Quake or like things like that, it's basically a way to get from point A to point B extremely fast.
so I haven't really actually tried, but like it just feels really fast in the way that I remember Quake 3 Arena feeling. Just the way he's moving, just how fast you're moving and everything. But so far he's cool. Also, I have been playing Persona 5 Royal. I just finished the first palace before the show. So my thing was when I was playing vanilla Persona 5 before I stopped, like I was just kind of going through each day, doing what I thought was the best thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm kind of wanting to going for completion here, but that mindset has kind of given me choice paralysis with every in-game day, and it would make the game really stressful for me. So I finally,
Persona's always been that for me.
yeah. So I finally broke down, and I'm actually using a guide to tell me what to do every day.
Cool.
It doesn't give me any spoiler content or any context. It says on this date do this, this, and this.
Right, right,
And
right.
so that has actually made it a lot easier for me to just like actually enjoy the game
Yeah,
because I know what I'm doing every day and I don't have to worry about whether or not I'm missing out on something. Um,
sure.
so it's made the game a lot more enjoyable for me.
I
Uh,
wish you had all like I wish you would take that guide and write it down in like a daily calendar schedule book
uh,
because that's funny to me.
it's funny. That reminds me of someone that I was briefly acquainted with who was like super into Madden to the point where whenever he went to someone's house to play Madden, he had his little playbook with him that he would consult while playing the game, which now that I say it out loud sounds even more absurd to me than it did when I when I first witnessed it. But yeah, that's been basically it. Not really, not trying not to play too many games at once. I felt like I overextended myself a little bit before, but
Me right now, man.
yeah, I don't. I'm trying not to let the old backlog grow too much. Babe, what was that game I bought you last week? Matt, was it Man Eater? Okay. That was I was trying to remember what game it was, but yeah. So been watching Kaylee play Persona dancing. I don't know which one.
Sure.
Uh, sometimes I know it's Persona 3 dancing. Sometimes I know it's Persona 4 dancing. Every once in a while it's Persona 5 dancing. Uh,
Sure.
but it looks fun. But
So she probably got the Endless Night collection, which is like the only way to get Persona 4 dancing on PS4.
yeah,
You can't buy that game by itself.
yeah. So I think that's what she did. I played a little bit of it. It reminded me of there was some rhythm game that you had at your house that I tried for like a second, and then I was
Mm-hmm.
bad at it, and I stopped. I can't remember what it
Mm-hmm.
was,
Who
but
knows?
but the interface is the same, and so I had her let me try one of the like try to go through one of the songs. I did pretty well.
The
Um,
interface is the same.
it's like with the
Man, I wonder what game.
like the what do you call it? The face buttons on one side and then the directional buttons on the other side, and then
Okay.
the icons are going outward toward them.
Yeah, it's a game called Super Beat Sonic,
Yeah, there we go.
which is much harder than Persona Dancing because you're dealing with the face buttons on the outside, but you're also dealing with analog sticks and shoulders at the same time.
Yeah.
As that game's nuts.
So Persona Dancing makes limited use of the sticks,
Yeah.
and there's no shoulder button interaction that I can tell. Um, but yeah, that's about it. I played a little bit of Resident Evil 3 remake,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
which by the way on my new television looks very nice.
Sure.
But man, that so the dodge mechanic, I texted you about this
Yeah.
when I was a few days ago, and it's just I actually so there like early on there is a I think it's the first save point. Like right after that save point, it like teaches you how to use the dodge mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you a little tutorial window pops up, and then there's a single zombie for you. They're like basically like, hey, now try using that. But like, I sat there reloading and reloading and reloading at that one zombie because I'm trying to figure out how to do it because the game doesn't tell you. The game doesn't give you any insight as to how to do it properly.
Right.
And so I just over and over again I'm dodging directly into his hands and getting
Yeah.
bit. And like I pulled it off like twice, and I ended up going online like how are people doing this? And basically almost every single guide I found basically said, "Well, you just got to do it at the right time." I was like, "Well, I know that."
Yeah.
So I found something that gave me a little bit more insight as to what the right time is. So I'm gonna maybe try that.
Have you finished the game yet or no?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So with that game, I feel like I got really good at that game. You know,
Yeah.
the dodging included. I was pretty good at the dodging, or so I thought.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm like, I'm going to try to platinum this. I'm sure our discussion here is going to be about trophies and achievements and all that. But you know, the only one trophy that I'm missing is for like beating the game. I think on the hardest difficulty under a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Right. And I fly through this game, man. I get to the last boss fight, the final boss fight, with like well over an hour
Sure.
to spend on this boss that really only takes a few minutes.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm like, all right, I got this. Let's do it. Dodging him on the hardest difficulty, I just can't do it. I
So
just can't do it.
with the difficulty going up, does like
Your window is decreased.
okay.
Yeah.
So his animation speeds up or what?
His attack patterns are just different and
Okay.
more frequent. Yeah.
Okay.
But
It's just
it's one of many games now that I'm missing one trophy in.
so, and like I had like when you said that, I immediately decided like with the way that the dodging was going for me on the default difficulty. When you
Yeah.
said that, I was just like, I'm not going for it. Like I like that is not
You
for.
should still go for it. It's super fun, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna play the game absolutely, but I don't think I'm going to go for the last
Yeah.
one, the last trophy. So my question is this about that game, and I meant to ask you about this, but it slipped my mind. With that game, am I meant? Because I remember the original Resident Evil 3 being very much an action game.
Right.
So and Resident Evil 2 felt more like the survival horror game, right? Uh,
Sure.
so, and that seemed to be the case here with with both remakes. That Resident
Hmm.
Evil 2 was still very much the survival horror game. Is Resident Evil 3? Am I playing it the right way if I'm blasting my way through it?
I mean, that's the way that I play it,
Okay,
you know?
because
The
I
game,
was worried about
Resident Evil
ammo
games in
conservation.
general,
Yeah,
Resident Evil games in general, uh, very much lend themselves and encourage you to do multiple playthroughs and to do speed runs and get better and better at the game, right?
yeah,
And that's what I really liked about 3 remake is it's just that,
yeah,
you're almost never gonna run out of ammo. Uh, the puzzles are super easy,
yeah.
but yeah.
I keep seeing
Anyway,
I keep seeing people calling for a. They're like they need to do one next. I was like, you want them to do Resident Evil remake?
I really hope not. I really hope not.
Yeah,
I think one remake is perfect as it is.
sure. Yeah. What do you play?
People call it remake. People don't even call it Resident Evil remake. People just call it remake because that's how good it is.
Yeah.
Uh,
What are you playing, Tom? I know you're playing Ghost of Tsushima.
dude, I'm all over the place, but like getting shit done though.
Yeah.
So on Resident Evil, I played Maiden, which is the Resident Evil 8 demo,
Right.
and that was super cool. Very, very spooky.
Yeah.
And of course, it looks gorgeous.
Sure.
Looks phenomenal,
Yeah.
And that's all I'll say about that.
Okay.
Super short, like 15 minutes tops.
Okay.
Um, so, and this is again talking about fucking trophies, right? Uh, Last week I'd been playing a lot of Dirt 5.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
I continued that the first half of this week. Finished the game, got every single trophy,
Okay. Does that game have a platinum?
but yeah,
Okay.
when I say I got every trophy, what I mean to say is that I earned every trophy.
I see.
About 4 of them did not pop for me.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so that sucks.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Codemasters puts out a patch that addresses that. Apparently, they already did, and it has not addressed it.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm not holding my breath on that, but fantastic game. A lot of bugs, but still fantastic.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, let's see. Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima. I'm liking that one a lot. I always get overwhelmed with these big open world games.
Sure. Yeah.
So many times I'll start them, I'll play for 20 hours, and then I'll duck out. I don't know. It's holding my attention so far, so
Yeah.
we'll see.
So
You know?
are you playing it in English or Japanese?
I'm playing it in English.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on.
But yeah, so far I'm liking it a lot. It's always weird when a studio makes a game about a race or a time period or something like that they're not exactly the most familiar with.
Sure.
But I think they've done a pretty good job here.
Yeah.
And I am very much enjoying the game.
Yeah,
Um,
I think I really had a good time with it, and I said like on a previous show that to me I consider it to be the most beautiful open world game that I've ever played, and
Yeah.
in multiple respects, not just visually speaking.
Yeah.
And it's a fantastic game, and I really liked the story and where that went, and the combat was just it just has like a satisfying feel to it, especially once you start unlocking the stances and everything. It has a really satisfying feel to it.
Yeah, so I just unlocked the final stance, which I think is Moon.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm about to get, I'm assuming, a grappling hook.
Yeah.
So, I guess the map's divided into 3 sections.
Yeah.
That first section, I feel like I'm pretty much done with.
Yeah.
So that's good. But yeah, I'm liking it a lot. Then on top of all that, I'm still chipping away at Sackboy, having a lot of fun with that. And then, of course, I've been reading a lot more comics lately. So I'm like, man, I want to play some fucking games with these people in it. But, I didn't really take a liking to DC Universe. I tried it when it first came out. It just wasn't my thing.
Right.
Didn't really want to play an Arkham game.
Sure.
So I picked up Injustice 2
Nice.
on sale, and I've been having fun with that.
We're going to do some matches?
And then, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Now that I actually understand how the game works, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I went back to Lego DC Supervillains.
Oh, yeah, Pink Eye.
Yeah, Pink Eye's back. And, still having a good time with that. But that's really it,
So I was telling Kaylee about, because she saw that either you or the kids was on playing it, and I was telling her about how you can create your own supervillain.
Yeah.
And so, that was Pink Eye for you. And so are you creating a villain to play as? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it's like all the other Lego games in that you can, press whatever it is, like triangle to switch to this character or that character to use their abilities as needed. But the character you create is there and in the cutscenes and all of that,
Yeah.
So Lego Marvel Superheroes 2 gave you a character creator as well, but this one is much more detailed than that one. And I like DC better.
Yeah.
So,
For sure.
But yeah, that's it really. So wanted to talk about trophies, achievements. I just feel like we bring them up from time to time.
Yeah.
Whenever we platinum something, or if we're going for something, we'll bring it up and talk about it. But I don't think we've ever had like a proper episode on like achievements and trophies and our feelings and thoughts about them.
Yeah. Not that I recall, anyway.
Yeah. So I just wanted to be a general discussion on that stuff.
Sure.
I think Xbox 360 was doing achievements before. I know it was before PlayStation.
Yeah.
I believe it was doing them even before Steam was.
I think so, yeah.
I got super into Xbox achievements on the 360.
Yeah.
And like to a point where I didn't like the type of gamer that I was becoming,
Yeah.
Everybody knows about like Terminator Salvation and
Right.
Peter Jackson's King Kong, and like I'm buying these games online, on eBay, having them shipped to my house just because I know they're an easy, not platinum, but an easy 100%.
Right.
And I did that a lot, man. I did that a lot, and some of the games were good. Like I like Terminator Salvation, the game. I know a lot of people didn't, but I thought it was fun.
So
But
you were going
after a
through and doing
while-
it even with games you didn't like you off top, you were like,
Yeah.
I don't like this game, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it anyway.
Oh yeah, Peter Jackson's King Kong, terrible.
Oh.
And I'll even admit to having done that more recently as well.
Yeah.
Like I played My Name Is Mayo. I bought that thing and pressed X a bunch of times. But and even more recently, there's this game called Full Blast that I bought. Have you heard of the developer? I think it's Radalika that made it.
Mm-mm.
So Radalika Games is a developer that makes games for multiple platforms for multiple reasons, right? One, if you're a Switch owner, you can buy these games for dirt fucking cheap. They're just bargain bin, usually pretty shitty games,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But if you're on another console that has achievements or trophies or whatever, they're easy 100% games. They never come out and say that,
right.
but that's why people are buying these games, you know.
Yeah,
So I got the platinum for Full Blast. I think it took me maybe 15 minutes, you know.
yeah.
Uh, but like,
How did that feel after that 15 minutes?
I mean, kind of gross. And I beat the game
Yeah,
even after the 15 minutes, even after my platinum. I beat the game, but like, I felt less gross about it because it's a game I actually had fun with.
sure.
You know, like it was actually a good game. A lot of their games are not good games. You
Yeah,
know, so I guess that's where I'm at now. Is that like I'll go for 100% on a game's achievements or trophies if it's something that I'm actually having fun doing.
right, right,
But I'm done doing it just to do it. You
right,
know.
right. And so this is kind of something Kaylee and I were actually talking about this earlier this afternoon, and so I guess like pretty. I think so. My most recent platinum is I get. I don't actually. Okay, one of my most recent platinums is Assassin's Creed Valhalla, right? Which took me a bit over 200 hours to do that.
Sure.
And so the game, I think I consider, like, even with its flaws and everything, I consider Assassin's Creed Valhalla to be the best game that they've done so far.
Assassin's Creed, the series,
Yeah,
like the best Assassin's Creed game.
yeah, best Assassin. I should.
Okay.
So the best Assassin's Creed game they've done so far. But here's the so with the one of the big things, one of the good things about trophies and achievements is and I think we've said this before, is that they introduce a different playing style to you that you might not have considered otherwise, which can increase the replay value of a game or enhance your enjoyment of a game, right?
Right. When the list is done properly.
Right. However, the flip side of that, right, is
Yeah.
that there are trophies that will have you play the game in a way that clearly the game wasn't necessarily designed to be played,
Mm-hmm.
or isn't really a practical or useful way to play the game. And Valhalla has, off the top of my head, I can think of 3 trophies in that game that are like that. So the first of which is a trophy that you get for using your longship to ram and destroy 5 like smaller boats within 2 minutes, right?
Okay.
So the thing about that game is that it's not the boat is not actually designed to engage in any sort of waterborne combat of any kind. So like with Odyssey and Black Flag, like ramming with your ship was part of combat, right? That was like, it was a tactic that you would use.
Right.
Whereas in this game, like, it's not a thing that you do. So the game doesn't really have a good way to approach that.
It's like just go do it.
It's just like go do it. And so
Yeah.
what you have to do is just get the boat up to speed and hope that smaller boat shatters when you ram it.
Right.
Which
Right. Right.
which either it will do, or it might not do that, and you have to try again. And so it made it a really frustrating trophy to go after, because again, that's not at all a part of the gameplay loop, and it's obviously not designed for me to play it that way, right? And so it's just like, why is this like, what is the point of this trophy, right? Like, what is the point of making me do this for this trophy? It's not really an accomplishment. It was really more of a nuisance.
See, and I don't really feel like they always need to be an accomplishment. You know, I don't know. Like, I definitely do prefer it when they are. but
Well,
like some of like the more just like I don't like the, oh, you started the game, here's a trophy,
yeah,
you know. But like sometimes when there's something funny
yeah,
or like even a hard story beat, like I don't mind
yeah.
those.
I don't think that. I think honestly, I think that with trophies is that they should enhance your enjoyment of the game in some way. Um,
Yeah.
and I feel like it more detracted from that than anything.
Hmm.
There's another trophy in the game where you, it's the trophy is kill 3 people while you are on fire without breaking their shields.
I remember you talking about this one.
And it's not, I don't know, it was just, it's one of those things where like I don't like, I don't know why I would do that, right?
Sure.
I don't know why I would intentionally set myself on fire so that I could kill these guys. Um, and so it's like, and again, I prefer trophies that introduce me to a new playstyle while also enhancing the enjoyment of the game. And I felt like that did neither. Um,
See, that's what sucks so bad about this Dirt 5 thing,
yeah,
right? Is like there are a couple of trophies that led me to play events in that game that I did not like
yeah,
and probably would have avoided. But because of these trophies, I had to play those events and eventually got to the point where I understood how to play those events and actually enjoyed them,
yeah, yeah,
There's just like certain vehicle types that like I didn't know how to fucking drive,
yeah, yeah,
so I just wasn't doing those events because
yeah.
you don't have to. But the trophies require it, so it was there. There's also like I don't know. There's certain trophies that I like that like aren't really accomplishing anything, but like are just kind of fun to do.
Yeah.
And one that's always stuck with me for a game that is not terrible but not fantastic either. It's from Infamous Second Son,
Yeah.
where like there's this whole thing with like these smokestacks that don't really make sense, but like you can shoot into one from the ground level and then come out the top of a building,
Yeah.
right? That I don't think is a thing that exists in real life, but they're there for the game.
Yeah.
But like, there's a trophy. I don't remember exactly what it
Like
was,
you
but
have
it
to
was
do like a
like,
bunch of them without touching the ground.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and like I like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Doesn't accomplish anything, but like it's fun to do.
But that's
Fun little challenge to
but
do.
again, that's my thing, right? Is that maybe it doesn't maybe it's not it doesn't have to necessarily be an accomplishment, but as
Yeah,
long as it's actually fun because I think that the main purpose of video games, all video games, right, is to have fun.
mm-hmm.
And I think that once you're introducing something into the game that isn't fun, then I feel like you're really working against yourself.
Yeah,
And I can't imagine. And like, look, I've never made a video game in my life, and I understand that, but I can't imagine that the people who designed the trophy to for me to ram 5 boats in 2 minutes without including a boat ramming mechanic saw that and was like, that's fun.
yeah.
That would be fun for them to do because it's not. uh, but I
I
think
feel like. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say like I feel like there are certain genres of games where you can pretty well guess what the trophy list is going to be.
Sure.
And some of those I think are fine, and some of them I really don't care for. Like, it kind of sucks because it didn't used to be the case, but now it's the case that if you get a game certified on Xbox or PlayStation, your game has to have achievements or trophies.
Right.
And there are some games where I think like it almost does a disservice, you
Yeah.
know? Games like What Remains of Edith Finch, I'm like, what? Why the fuck am I doing these trophies?
Sure. Yeah.
Which is why I kind of like how Telltale does it. you know,
Yeah,
because
just
like
like
those games,
trophies for going through the game.
right, but like those games are basically just telling you a story, you know.
Right.
There's nothing real hard about any of those games. At least none of them after The Walking Dead season 1.
Yeah.
Um, you know, for some like Sam and Max, yeah, it would make sense to have some weird trophies, right? You figured out how this fucking thing interacts with that thing.
Yeah.
You deserve a trophy, you know.
Right.
But these other games that pretty much are just telling a story and play themselves. I kind of feel like if you're gonna have a trophy list, it probably should be the way that Telltale's been doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
So what are some trophies for Edith Finch?
I mean, they're just like any other game, right? Like there's the whole thing where you're the bird,
Right.
and it's like get I don't remember however many rabbits in this many swoops, you know,
Yeah.
shit like that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Which I think that
when
like
you're the weird tentacle
yeah.
creature, hear the sailor sing the entire sea shanty before you kill him, you know?
Yeah.
Weird crap like that like doesn't really need to be in that game.
Well, I think that also like when we have a game that is like 90%, like 98% narrative, I
Right.
think that having something like that kind of pulls you out of the narrative
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're focusing on
Exactly.
accomplishing this task. Um, and I do think that, um, and it feels weird to say this, but I think that it feels weird to gamify that game in that way.
Right. Right.
Because I think that while Edith Finch, while What Remains of Edith Finch is a video game in the technical sense, I
Yeah.
think that it is very much a video game that is meant to be experienced in a specific way.
Yeah.
And I think that the requirement to add trophies, um, while is okay, I agree with you that it should have just been done in the way that Telltale did it, in a way
Yeah.
that like does not cause you to veer off the course of the narrative and just like
It's like
kind of just go through
Fulbright,
it.
right? Like
Yeah.
Fulbright gave Gone Home a speed run trophy. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's
Is it,
just kind of weird.
well, like, and that's another thing too, right? Like, I think that Gone Home is trying to tell you a specific story, and it's trying
Yeah.
to, and I think that a big thing about stories, and and trying to elicit a specific response, is pacing, and I think that I think if you're speedrunning the game, then pacing goes out the window because it becomes irrelevant because you're trying to get through this thing as soon as possible,
Right.
which doesn't really make sense for something like that.
With fighting games, I think fighting games traditionally have pretty piss poor trophy lists.
Yeah.
Not always. Like there are some that I have enjoyed. Right.
Yeah.
Uh, yet another one like Under Night in Birth. I'm pretty sure I'm one trophy away from platinum.
Yeah.
You know, but like, and I actually enjoyed that one because, like a lot of fighting games, it's like do all the trials,
Yeah.
but the trials in Under Night are fucking awesome. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like almost every SNK fighting game, it's going to be like, here's a trophy because you beat Arcade with this character. Here's a trophy because you beat Arcade with that character, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like just beat Arcade with every single character.
Yeah.
That's kind of lame. It's kind of boring, you know.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, when I talk about when I talk about fighting game achievements, I often like actually every single time I have thought about fighting game achievements, I
yeah,
think about Dead or Alive 4,
okay.
which I mentioned before on the show that Dead or Alive 4 has a trophy for losing 5 matches in a row,
Oh yeah.
and it's like, why would I do that? Like on purpose?
Well, that's the whole. I don't think you would do it on purpose unless you are specifically trying to 100% that list, right? But like, I do kind of like that when the developers are like, "Here's a trophy because you suck at the game."
Yeah.
You know, like they're kind of poking fun at you. Like I think I like that. You know,
Yeah.
that's funny to me. But
I don't know. I really honestly, I really honestly never really liked trophies like that. And it's
Yeah.
like Dark Souls 2 had one like that too. That was like the first time you die in the game, a trophy pops up that says "Welcome to Dark Souls."
Mm-hmm.
Um,
You didn't like that?
uh, I just felt like, well, I didn't really feel like it was making fun of me. I really felt like it was more like I just really don't have a taste for things that are like very on the nose like that. As like hey, yeah, we know what Dark Souls is. We know what you guys say Dark Souls is. It's super hard, and you died.
That's
So
funny.
welcome to Dark
Yeah.
Souls, guys.
You know what's funny is like you say that like you don't like things that are super on the nose like that, and I've definitely found that to be true about the both of us over the course of our friendship because a lot of the comedy that you and I come up with is that like things that are like that
Yeah. Uh,
um
but
so is there a specific trophy or a specific game that you are particularly happy or proud of to have achieved?
yeah, absolutely. I would say honestly, and it's weird, right? Because like, and I talked about platinuming because I did the two Assassin's Creed games that I platinum were Odyssey and Valhalla, and while I love both of those games,
That sounds like such a pain.
that's the thing, right? Is that like, am I more happy about those trophies because I like those games, or am I happy
Mhm.
about those trophies because of how long it took me? you
Right,
know, and
right.
so if it's the latter, like I kind of feel I have certain feelings about it being the latter, right? Because that's I do think that Assassin's Creed Odyssey is a game that very much does not respect your time. Um, and I think
But
that
that's what everybody wants, right? Everybody wants the 200-hour game. You
I mean
know,
maybe but I
that's
think
what they say they want.
yeah. But Ghost of Tsushima, right? I think Ghost of Tsushima was a really good. I think it's a really good example because for a few reasons. I think that with Ghost, when I got the platinum for Ghost of Tsushima, I hadn't earned a platinum in I don't know 5 or 6 years at that point.
Okay,
So it was the first platinum that I had earned in that period of time. Is like,
sure.
and it was also because it was it was a platinum that my wife and I did together, right? Like
Okay,
we decided together like I'm like let's platinum this game, and so we just did it. And so it has that's it's the first platinum she and I both earned at together, and so that it has that kind of significance for me.
right.
Um, but I think a lot about the Miles Morales platinum, Spider-Man Miles Morales platinum.
I
Uh,
got that one.
yeah, and I think and like I love like and I think the great thing about that platinum is that it is that platinum is also kind of it is also wrapped up in the message that I believe that game is trying to convey, which is a lot of finding your place, like a lot about finding your place in the world and being comfortable with who you are and things like that. And so that platinum is called Be Yourself, and I just felt like it was just such a great way to like cap off the message that game had given me, and it just felt like it punctuated it really well. And I felt honestly like really really happy. Like I actually like when I got that platinum, I was like, huh, this feels nice,
Sure,
as opposed to
sure.
like this is over now. This is like
Right.
I'm finally done with this thing, right? And so
That's
like
funny because I kind of felt that way. Like I kind of felt like this is over now.
yeah,
Thank goodness.
yeah,
Not because I didn't like the game. I really enjoyed the game, and I enjoyed the story and all that. um, but like with both Spider-Man games, I platinumed both of them, and like their lists are pretty good. Neither one of them is very difficult to platinum,
right,
right? In the sense that like what you have to do is not difficult to do,
right,
but like for me, both of them just felt very repetitive,
sure.
you know.
And I
And
think
I didn't
that
want to keep doing the things that they wanted me to be doing, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. And I think that
Uh,
that's the problem with open world trophy list
Yeah.
is a lot. Well, like it's a lot of it is just go here, get that many of this thing, go here and do
Right.
all of these things, and that's just. And after a while, like it starts to be like it does start to feel repetitive, you know.
Yeah.
Which is like why it is so important for that the game world to be interesting, for the story of that game to be interesting, and
Yeah.
it's thank goodness for how fun environment traversal is in Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So to making trips across New York less of a pain because moving across New York as Spider-Man is fucking cool.
Let me tell you something. Not to talk shit about Ghost of Tsushima, but from going from the open world of Spider-Man to the open world of Ghost, fuck man, like I went from being able to run up buildings to having to like very slowly climb down cliffs.
Yeah,
You know, I
yeah,
was like, God, this is taking forever. Don't
yeah.
get me wrong, it looks beautiful while it's
Sure.
taking forever, but still, you
It
know,
makes you
it's
look
like,
at it for a very long time.
yeah,
But
man,
the good thing about Ghost is that Sucker Punch has done a really good job of optimizing the tech in such a way that fast travel feels almost instantaneous. Uh, just like very little load times on that stuff,
sure, sure.
which makes it a lot, makes it a lot less tedious. But even still, man, and that was another one too. Is like how like, and I think this is something that we're never gonna really quite get away from with open world games, which is go here and do this many things, which is like I think like while I personally can't think of another way to do open world trophies, I know that there absolutely is a different way to do that. I know that it does. I know that your open world does not have to be filled with collectibles.
Right.
Like that's really not something that is necessary. Um,
I don't mind collectibles, you know.
yeah,
I just want games that can make those feel more organic.
yeah,
Uh, in the way, at least for me, Breath of the Wild did.
yeah,
You know, and Ghost of Tsushima, I think, does pretty well compared to a lot of other open world games.
yeah.
You know, the whole Fox Den, Follow the Bird, Follow the Wind stuff, like it suits the game. You
Sure.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
And I think that with Valhalla, it was made a little bit easier because one of the things that you have to do is there's these little like side quests that you have to complete around the map, and a lot of them do eventually boil down to a few different sets of objectives. But what's good about it is each one has like a little story wrapped around it,
mhm,
so you're getting a different narrative every time.
sure.
So
And that's one thing I'll say that you know Miles Morales did way better than the original Spider-Man was that all those little side quests felt less repetitive than they
right,
did in the original game.
yeah,
You know,
and I think that's
and I like that original game.
yeah,
You know, I liked it a lot. In some ways, I like it more. Uh, but those quests, you know, going to the fucking Oscorp computer thing over and over
yeah,
again and doing the fucking puzzles and Doc Ock's lab and all that
yeah,
crap. Like, I'm so glad they got rid of that shit.
yeah,
You
and
know?
I think that the smaller scope of Miles Morales allowed for more kind of handmade uh like quests and
Yeah.
uh and that's something that to be said about uh about games that are smaller in scope, right? Because it allows for more kind of curation with that stuff, so that you're not doing the same, so that you don't, even if you are doing the same thing over and over again, there are good like little narrative ways to make it feel like you're not like with adding a different kind of context to each one makes it feel makes it feel
Yeah.
different at least.
Well,
uh
it's interesting though, right? Is like both of those developers, both of those studios, I should say, Sucker Punch and Insomniac, you can kind of chart their growth
right,
in that. Like, I love Infamous. Uh, I wouldn't say I love Second Son, but I love the Infamous games,
yeah,
and like, you know, the Infamous games are so much smaller than Ghost of Tsushima is.
right,
but you're doing just like the most basic, boring things over and over again.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
go spray paint this. Now go spray paint that. You know,
Like I was just
like
so
it was repetitive and it
yeah,
was smaller. You
yeah.
know, it's a very small open world.
I just I the one trophy that I couldn't get behind in Second Son was when they were like, okay, complete the campaign with this alignment. Okay, now go back and complete the campaign with this alignment.
Yeah,
Okay, but also complete the campaign on the hardest difficulty, which,
yeah,
granted, completing the campaign on the hardest difficulty, I'm absolutely on board with that. But having me go through on two different alignments is just I did it. I'm not gonna say I shouldn't say I couldn't because I absolutely did it. Granted,
yeah.
granted those two playthroughs were 6 years apart, but I did it. Um, I can't imagine if I were doing that if I had just bought Infamous Second Son today, and I was like, I want to platinum this game. I can't imagine like really having it in me to do that, because I think that I feel like Second Son is, I consider it to be an okay game, and
Yeah,
but it's definitely not, that game is definitely not fun enough for me to want to go through it twice like that.
it's funny you say that because like I did exactly that,
Yeah,
and a lot of people did exactly that.
yeah,
Uh, but I think a lot of it has to do with what was available to us on PlayStation 4 at the time.
sure,
You know,
yeah. And you know, I think that it's a lot of the more interesting trophies now are had I feel like are had now in the indie space. And I think that's also largely because of an increased amount of creative freedom.
yeah,
And because I think that when you have the larger the studio is, right, the more oversight is to be had, and the more back and forth there can be expected when it comes to kind of putting together the trophy list.
sure,
And so I think that with, you know, with these smaller games, I think that um, with indie studios and their, and you know, the tendency for those games to be more interesting to me personally, um, I think that the trophy list definitely typically reflects that. Um, at the same time, you know, I definitely run into some that I felt to be rather boring because I found the games themselves to be rather boring, such as Jonathan Blow's The Witness. I just, you know, I then again I feel like
I
that.
think that's a great game. My brain just isn't wired for it. You know,
I felt like, you know, I just like, there are certain games that like I play them and I think to myself like, the man, this thing is way up its own ass, and I'm just not into it, so I kind of dip out. Um, but I also think that that has to do with like, you know, what my tastes are and like how I engage with things. But
yeah,
I also do very much think that Jonathan Blow is, you know, I'm not gonna get into that, but you know, then again, there are other games that like that, you know, they certainly can surprise you. You know, there are certain
I
games
don't
that,
know, man. The indie space is weird, right? Like
yeah,
this week, I went through the Donut County trophy list, which is super easy, super short.
it's like a few hours, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, very very short.
yeah,
Uh, but you know, like the game is fun. I genuinely enjoy that game, but the trophies are fucking shitty, man. You know, like they're just bad trophies.
like what are we talking about here?
Like, you know, when you're doing the whole text thing, you can text the duck.
Yeah.
Like text the duck 100 times.
Oh.
I don't want to do that. You know, I don't want to press X 100 times for no reason.
Yeah. You might, I mean,
Uh,
you're gonna play I Am Mayo if you want to do that, right? Which you
yeah,
did.
exactly,
So
exactly. But yeah, as far as trophies, I really love and like lists I really love. It's always for games that I really like that I just want to spend more time in.
yeah,
Uh, so if you look at the trophies, if you look at my trophy list for games I've completed, not all of them, right? Not I am Mayo or whatever, but like it's typically games that you hear me talk about a lot.
Yeah.
You know, Shadow of the Colossus and Transistor
Yeah.
and Near and that kind of shit, right? Because I love those games. I wanted every excuse to play them more, you
Yeah.
know. Uh, and I think that really does it for me. Is like one, all three of those have good trophy lists, like fun trophies to do.
Right.
Uh, but two, like I just genuinely love those games, and
Yeah.
if they're going to give me a reason to play them longer, you know,
Well, see,
that's
like,
what I like.
last night you were telling me that you were telling me what you had seen as my hour count on various games, and um,
Yeah, yeah. So for those who don't know, PS5 you can see your as well as your friends list time in a game, even if the game was on a previous gen console.
right. So you had mentioned to me the number of hours that I had spent in Monster Hunter World,
Oh man,
which easily clears 1,000, right?
yeah, it's like 1,130 something, I think.
Yeah. I love that game, but
Yeah,
here's the thing though, is that you would think that after 1,000 hours with the game, you would have platinumed it 20 times over, right? But the problem with some of those trophies in that game is they are heavily reliant on RNG.
yeah,
And the problem with that is that the RNG in Monster Hunter World is fucking busted.
yeah.
So there are, I think there's one or two trophies I'm missing for the platinum for the base game, and that is so when you hunt monsters, every time you hunt a monster, the game will calculate the size of that monster. Um, so what it wants, so if you have a monster that is unusually large, it will give you a silver or gold crown for how large it is.
Sure.
And you have if the monster is unusually small, it would also give you a silver or gold crown for that.
Okay.
So the trophy, there are two. There's a trophy for each. It says get a
Wait,
gold.
for small and big or
Yeah,
for
for
silver and gold?
for
Okay.
for small and big. So it wants to get a gold
Okay.
crown for small and big, right? And so it says for most of the monsters. It doesn't. It just says get it for most of the monsters, right? And so of course I looked up the list of which monsters I need to do, and so I'm sitting here and I'm farming the same monster over and over and over and over again for hours at a time, and it just doesn't happen,
Oh,
right? And so like at a certain point, and like this is something that I was doing. Like I think we were doing like this between 6 months and a year ago. We were trying this, and it just wasn't happening. And we're just like, look, we need to take a break from this game because
yeah, for sure.
it's just not happening. So we've come back to it, and I've looked. I was like, oh, two. I only need two more monsters to do this, right? So I'm gonna try it again, and the game gives you. I guess I get this false sense of optimism about it because periodically there are events that you can engage with, and some events increase the rate at which you can earn crowns for certain monsters. But even while engaging with those events, it still feels broken, and it still feels like it's not happening as often or as often
Yeah,
as it probably should. And I don't know
yeah,
what the actual percent chance it is, but it's got to be astronomically low for how much time I
right,
spent, for how many times I've killed most of the monsters in that game, and how much
right,
time
right,
I've
right.
spent playing that game. I should have had all of them multiple times over, and I don't.
So is that the trophy that you hate the most? Because I've got a couple that I fucking hate, man.
It's one of them. Like I don't like trophies that I really don't like trophies or achievements that are tied to RNG that way. Because it's not, because at a certain point it feels like work, and as I my whole thing is that once a game starts feeling like work, I'm out. So it just starts feeling like work, and then I have to just disengage from it, which meant I wasn't playing Monster Hunter World for a really long time, like almost a year, I think. So,
So look, I've got 3 trophies
okay,
that are all basically the same trophy.
okay,
And I don't want any more of this kind of trophy. Okay.
okay.
It started with Panzer Dragoon
Oh,
remake,
yeah.
which was like play the game for however many hours. I don't remember. I think it was like
100
100 or
hours. 100 hours,
something
yeah.
like
Yeah.
that, right? Which is fine, except for Panzer Dragoon is only like a 2-hour game,
Yeah.
you know? I eventually found a way to cheese that one, got the trophy.
Right.
Okay. Uh, then I went on to Skater XL.
Yeah.
Skater XL, yet another game where I am missing 1 trophy for platinum. And it's a trophy called Around the World. And what it is for skating the exact distance that is the circumference of the planet Earth.
I don't like
It
that.
would take forever. It would take forever. And I have found ways to be able to just leave my controller and the console running and the skater to just move on his own,
Yeah.
right? Even at an accelerated speed, I have found glitches that allow me to get the skater moving crazy fast.
Yeah.
Even doing that, it would take me hundreds of days of leaving my console
Well,
on.
what do you think is the point of trophies like that? Like, what do you
I don't
like?
know,
What is
dude.
the
I don't
purpose
know.
behind that?
So then the next one was for Dirt 5, which was for like driving 10,000 miles. For both of those trophies, people complained to the developers on both of those trophies. Skater XL is like, that's the trophy. We're not changing it.
Yeah.
Codemasters changed the Dirt trophy from 10,000 miles to 1,000 miles, which by the time you've beaten the campaign, you're pretty close to,
Right.
you know. But like, yeah, I don't ever want those trophies again. I hate those trophies.
Actually, you know what? My least favorite trophy is a broken trophy. And I'm saying this because I'm thinking about Kaylee playing through Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. And one of the trophies is tied to completing level like a bunch of level challenges, right? And as a pro skater enthusiast, you know that a lot of the level challenges are like complete this gap, right?
Right.
But one of the gap in a level called Skater Heaven,
Mm-hmm.
it's broken. Like it just does not register when you complete it. And like the fact of the matter is that it'd be one thing if getting that gap was easy, but it's not. So
So here's the thing, right? Like, people have the platinum trophy for that game.
right, they do.
So it's not like it's completely broken.
But like I think that if a trophy does not pop for everyone who completes the conditions,
Absolutely.
it's broken. I
Yeah,
consider
I
it to
mean,
be broken.
people have the trophy for Dirt 5 as well. And
Yeah.
I'm sitting here bitching about that.
But but again, like the gap is not easy to complete, and so
Yeah.
it'd be one thing if you could just sit there and just do it over and over again, but it's really difficult, and so you sit there and you nail it, and you're like, holy shit, I got it, and then when nothing happens, you're hoping it's just one of those trophies that takes a minute to pop, and then it just doesn't, and that sucks, right? So
That does suck. I mean, that's exactly what I've been going through with fucking Dirt.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and it's just like,
Fucking Gymkhana events, man. Like, I can't drive a car like that.
yeah.
But I did it, and I didn't get shit for it. You know?
And it sours you on the entire experience. More recently, she and I went through Watch Dogs Legion, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the trophies for Watch Dogs Legion is around London. You put up different paste ups in different locations, and once you do all of them, you're supposed to get a trophy, right? So I did it, and I got the trophy. Kaylee does it, she doesn't get the trophy, right? So she's like, okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start a new game, and I'm gonna go in and do all the paste ups, right? But the game glitched so that all the paste ups she put in another playthrough were still fucking there, so she couldn't do it. So she had
Wow.
so she had to jump through all these hoops to get it to clear the data so that those paste ups weren't there, and she should go through and do them. And conceptually, the trophy is fine, but the fact of the matter is that you got a trophy in the game that was not. I don't know. I don't know what the extent of QA testing is at these studios, right? But obviously, it wasn't tested enough because that shit didn't work for everybody, and
Yeah.
and it definitely should. And so that kind of thing is frustrating. Will sour you on the experience because up until that point, you know, she was loving the game, right? And then that happens, and you're like,
I was sucking Dirt's dick
yeah,
until all this shit happened.
yeah, and it's just like it makes you like you can go from and it's something that could make you go from loving a game to just being like, I don't even want to play the game anymore, you know?
I mean, I deleted it until Codemasters patches it. There's really nothing else for me to do.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. So
So
and I consider that to be and the reason I consider that to be a trophy category all its own is because for video people who play video games, their proficiency at these games varies, right? Some trophies might be really easy to get for one person, and another person might have a really difficult time getting it.
for sure.
And for somebody who has a difficult time getting these trophies, like that is like really frustrating.
Yeah. When
And
you do it and you don't earn it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and like I talked about Assassin's Creed Odyssey not respecting my time, right? Well,
Yeah.
I feel like broken trophies also is somebody not respecting my time. And so I and with its ability to kind of with a trophy list's ability to also make or break a video game for people, I think that I think you should absolutely make sure that it works. And then once you find out that it doesn't work for everybody, then you should immediately get started on fixing it.
Yeah.
But that's how I feel. And like, look, again, I concede that making video games is very, very complicated, and I get that. But I think that if something is worth doing, it is absolutely worth doing correctly.
Yeah.
So,
Do you have anything else that you want to say about achievements, trophies, any of that crap?
yeah. So, if you're playing a video game trying to get trophies, if you are not having a good time, you should probably stop and find another game to play so that you can have a good time. Especially when you're an adult every adult that I know, their time comes at a premium. So if a game is not respecting your time, then stop playing it.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
There are three things that I want to shout out before we end the show, and one of them disagrees with that. It's our friend Corey, Oni Walker,
Yeah.
who I know that there are people that have more platinums than this guy, right? I don't personally know any of them.
Yeah.
And every now and then, I don't look at anyone's profile on PSN hardly ever,
Yeah.
you know? But every now and then I'll look at Corey's. It's like, let's see what Corey's been up to. Stacking these platinums, this crazy motherfucker, you know?
Yeah.
And I see him on Twitter complaining about this trophy, complaining about that trophy, writing a trophy guide,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
It's just all very impressive. The other thing I want to shout out is...
He's got over 400 of them, by the way.
Yeah.
Which is insane
That's
to me.
Other thing I want to shout out is tomorrow is the release of Cyber Shadow, which looks fucking awesome. It looks like what the Messenger is touted to be. I like the Messenger,
Yeah.
but everyone's like, it's Ninja Gaiden. I'm like, other than the fact that it's a side-scrolling ninja game, it's not Ninja Gaiden,
Yeah.
you know? Cyber Shadow looks much more like Ninja Gaiden, and I'm very excited for that. And two, I just learned that Mike Drucker
Uh-huh.
is tomorrow releasing through Boss Fight Books his book on Silent Hill 2.
Nice.
I'm very excited for that.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Those are some good shout outs, Tom.
Yeah.
Uh
But that's it. You know, we like trophies. We're just not crazy.
Yeah,
We're not crazy like Corey.
yeah. Well, I mean, look, we're a couple of guys in our mid to late 30s, and how much time we have on this planet, we don't know. So we want to spend it getting quality trophies. That's it.
Sure.
You know.
Uh, we'll be back next week. You can catch us on all the podcast services.
Yep.
And, Shanae will probably be back.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know her
I
current
would
status.
assume.
I mean, she might. We have to. We're gonna have to check on her and see if she's still alive.
Sure.
Yeah.
But let us know. Let us know if there's a trophy or a game that you're particularly proud of. And we will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.